There we are. So welcome, Kathy. I think
Thank you.
this is going to be a very, I think I put in one of my posts, I'm going to stir the pot a little bit because I think the word holistic is bandied around a little bit, is, oh, I'm a holistic therapist. And I think we don't stop to think about how we view ourselves and what that actually means. So this should be very interesting. So welcome, Kathy. Thank you very
Thank you.
much for agreeing to talk to us about this word, being a holistic therapist. And I might interject and ask questions if that's all right.
Absolutely.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
I shall pass me over to you.
So, hello, everybody. I didn't say hello to Annette when she had a camera on, and hello to Alison. I am 65, so this is significant because this is me getting towards not the end, but to a different part of my journey as a holistic therapist. But the whole thing started. Louise and I know each other through the education route and all sorts of different things we've done together. But this came about because I was talking with a lady who was an ex-nurse, now doing the PRP sort of vampire facials. And she said to me, oh, it's very holistic what I do. And I thought, pardon? And I was slightly outraged, I have to say, because I thought this is another case of the word holistic being used in a very different context to sell something. And is it or is it not holistic? And then I thought, well, I have a point of view about this, but what about other people? Am I outdated? Has the word holistic now needs to be redefined in order to be explainable to the public? Because my other big beef was, do the public really know what they're buying when they see the word holistic? And I also had this feeling, and again, this really came from working with Louise on the education side, is that there has been an awful lot of push about education on the aesthetic side of the business. And of course, we've all heard the terrible stories of people doing things when they're not properly educated or qualified. But I thought, well, who's protecting the holistic therapist? Oh, I can go and pay £150 and call myself a reflexologist after doing a one-day course. And that really got up my nose. So when you threw that into the mix, I decided I needed to go out and seek opinion, hear people's points of view about what it means to be holistic. Now, I used to work in corporate in training and development, but I've been in the holistic world for 40 years. And I initially trained as a homeopath when I decided to leave the corporate ladder of promotion and ambition. And I've now sort of come slightly full circle, which I'll explain in a moment. But that holistic training really got me deeply into what it meant to practice as a holistic practitioner. And then I added on over the years lots and lots of different other skills. I first trained in reflexology, 7 different forms of massage. Then I added in the beauty side because I live in a very rural environment and I needed to earn money, and just doing massage and homeopathy was really not going to cut it. So I made some decisions for a very practical purpose. We need to earn money, but that was still in alignment with how I was practicing as a homeopath. And then life has moved on and I became a specialist in skin, and I would now consider myself to be a holistic skin therapist or practitioner, whichever word you prefer. And of course, none of that has a defined education to it, really. There's more definition there. But again, this was another reason why I wanted to go out there and canvas as to what it meant to be holistic. And I've done a series of IG lives, usually on a Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. Please join. Louise is coming on next week to talk about education. And we've had a whole range of people, and they've really brought some very interesting thinking. Plus, I've made them think about what it means to be holistic. So that's sort of the background. Now, where I'm moving to, I have a very successful sole trader salon. I've won multiple awards, both as a therapist and for my business. And I'm now reaching the stage where I'm wanting to do more on the wellness side and step away from the couch. So I think my journey through holistic practice shows to other people that you don't necessarily have to practice one thing for the rest of your career, that there are many opportunities and avenues that you can explore if they're in alignment with you to develop a very rounded business. So I will be certified in September as a trauma-informed nervous system regulation coach, which sits very well with the homeopathy. I'm writing a book. I've already written a chapter in a compilation book, but I'm also writing my own book about what it means to practice holistically. And I'm really focusing on internal wellness with food supplementation and being more conscious of gut health and how it affects not only skin, but health in general. So I'm working with Zinzino, a Norwegian company, on that. So those three things are going to become my new world of work as I slowly step away from being hands-on at the couch. So that's that piece. So Louise, do you have any questions for me before I crack on? Because I've got so much to say.
No, I won't interrupt you. You keep going because I can take you off
Okay,
on so many different tangents.
right, okay. So the things I've been learning about, and for the people on the call, please, chip in, put a question in the chat or come on live. It's fine. The three things we've identified so far, really, in all the discussions, is there are people who consider themselves holistic because of their environment. Oh, we make it comfortable. We have candles burning. We use blended aromatherapy oils, blah, blah, blah. So we have this attitude to the senses, which they consider to be holistic. They don't necessarily practice any defined holistic therapies, as maybe some of us on here, if we're reflexologists or massage therapists, as we would understand it. Then you've got the people who do practice those therapies and others. So it's part of their work, not necessarily all of their work. So they consider themselves holistic because of what they physically do with the client. And then you've got people in this broader definition of, because I consider the wider scope of what it means to be human, i.e. people's feelings, how they are spiritually, I recognize the existence of a soul. I don't just look at the physical. What they get from me is more than just my hands or whatever skill I'm practicing. I could be in management development, but I'm doing this holistically because of my broad thinking. And I think that's probably also where that nurse put herself, because she also said, well, because I'm taking their platelets and withdrawing them from them and I'm re-injecting them into them, I'm using part of them. Therefore, that is holistic. Now, for me, that's a slight overstretch of the definition, but, to her, it was valid. So my questions really to yourselves is, how do you view yourselves as a holistic practitioner? What is it that defines your practice that's different from somebody else? Because at the end of the day, the bottom line in all of this is you need your USP to go out there and build a successful business, whatever that means for you. And success is not necessarily driven by numbers and money, but that element there has to be there in order for you to pay your bills, exist, or enjoy what you do. If you're in the blessed position that it can just be a paying hobby, that's great. But you still need to attract the right people, the right vibe into your world. And so these questions, I believe, need to be answered so that you can totally define yourself as the unique human you are and create your own expression of what it means to be a holistic practitioner. I'm done with that bit.
That makes so much sense, Kathy. Thank you.
So does anybody on the call have a question for me? This is one of those subjects, it really only works when we've got some interaction.
So, do you think there could be the ultimate holistic therapist that's actually taking all of those elements that you spoke about, the physicality of the environment, the way in which you develop, and also having more tools in your toolbox, I think. And I think that's, for me, that's where it is. It's the tools in the toolbox to be able to suddenly identify where you need to give more to your client. Would you agree?
I think there is an ultimate holistic practitioner, and it is the tools that's like at the center. Think of it as onions, so the skin of an onion. So at the center, there is the basic thing you practice, and you want to be the best you can be at that. Then there's your, how do you fit into the world? This being self-aware. That is one of my big, big things. If you do not understand what presses your buttons, what impedes you in your work, what blocks your energy, if you want to use those words, then you're going to have a bit of a painful time when you come up against these blocks and you don't know how to work your way out of it. Or what is it that's interfering? So there's that whole sense of self and understanding what is the best way for you to practice your communication. For some people, doing something like this is just not doable. What is the best way for you to express yourself in terms of design? Design of your environment, design of your marketing materials. And that's a constant journey and adaptation. How do you fit into your broader profession? How are you connected to them and that wider circle of people that you're mixing with? How does your business connect to that? Then you've got the how do you fit into your community? What are you bringing to your community that is unique and can only be expressed by you? So all these layers and layers and layers of somebody who has a huge self-awareness to allow them to create this really unique business that therefore, because they're looking at their own body, mind, emotions, spirit, soul, and I also say skin, because you're putting all of those things together and you're working on all of those levels, that to me is truly holistic. I saw a question crop up there. Can you see that?
I can. Yes, Fiona said, how do you go about finding your USP? Oh, interestingly, that's part of my my business building. I do a whole session on your USP to join me on that one. So how do you go about when I feel I'm not good enough and I'm not good enough about shouting about it? Yes, Fiona, I
So
think
this,
you're not the only one that feels.
yeah, so Fiona knows she's good at what she does. So this is the classic suppression in our world of what it means to be caring. I'm in the caring profession, therefore I cannot earn money. I'm sorry, that's a complete load of bollocks. Who told us that and when? They did that because, number one, it's mainly a female profession. So there's a huge political and sociological issue around this. So I certainly join the fight when it comes to raising awareness about the importance of women in position, in power. And we do that through networking with like-minded people. Whatever you might think of her, Carolyn Hirons has done a huge amount for creating voice and space for women within beauty. And sometimes it can take that kind of, shall we say, edgy, loud energy to start getting that message across. But equally, you can do it quietly through proving yourself through your results. because at the end of the day, people are there for a result. And if you're uncomfortable about expressing yourself, and obviously we have to be discreet because we're dealing with people's health situations. If you find that difficult, you pass that to somebody who has that skill. So you decide that that is not my skill. I am going to invest in using somebody who specializes in that work, PR, whatever you want to call it, sales and marketing. And I have found umpteen people simply by joining a group, going on a mastermind, attending the shows. Doesn't matter if the show is not necessarily part of my specific discipline. You meet all sorts of people, you create connections. Go on Instagram, find people, talk to people on Instagram through messaging. People follow my page, I contact them and I say, thank you very much. And what is it you do? I have met the most incredible 2 women as a result of doing that, who are going to help me with the very thing that I have the biggest problem with, is time to do social media. Not my strength, tech, but it is theirs. Plus we talk the same holistic language. So all of that is because I go out and seek and search. Don't worry about not finding it quick enough. Everything moves at the pace at which you are ready. If you truly believe that the energy of the world and the universe moves with your energy and the universe, it will appear. It may just not come in the time that you, your ego, wants it. So that is a really massive question. I could talk about that for ages.
Oh, that's absolutely brilliant. Thank you, Kathy. And I just like
And there
to
was another one.
So I just want to add on to that, Fiona, education and educating your clients. So rather than maybe shouting about how good you are, as Kathy said, prove it just by putting out information, whether that be in a newsletter, whether it be in a group, whether it just be on your own Facebook pages, information which will show that you know what you're talking about is a really good way. Yeah.
And show your personality.
Yes.
Don't be somebody else's personality. I can think of one lady in particular. She works in the area of mindfulness and breath work. And she does all these snazzy reels with this happens and that happens and boom, I can't put one of those together. Doesn't matter. That's her voice speaking. I'll speak to mine.
Yeah. Great. So Annette says it's a challenge to be holistic. Where's it gone? So it's a challenge to be holistic at the same time recognizing your professional limitations. Absolutely. I try to hold space for someone's emotions as my treatment may cause release, but again, recognizing I'm not a counselor and I'm all there to fix it. And I think signposting is really, and also validating the way in which people are feeling at the time, even if you can't really understand it or you don't agree with it.
I think there's 2 things. Scope of practice is really important to understand. You've established the scope of practice. But you then, because I have a great network of other suppliers in my area, people I've tried and tested. I do never give a name to one of my clients where I haven't had a treatment or series of treatments from that practitioner. And that creates your own inner network of practitioners that you can refer to. That helps the client. It shows them that you are broader in your thinking, and therefore they'll say, well, they'll have a higher opinion of you. They place higher value on you because you were able to signpost and direct them elsewhere. Equally, it may be a sign to you that, I'm quite interested in this area of work. Would I like to expand my work in that area? And maybe decide to go and learn X, Y, and Z and add into your portfolio of tools.
I'd just like to add on to that anybody who's watching this and thinking, I couldn't possibly refer my client to somebody else, I might lose them. That is such small-mindedness. And actually, the more you give, the more you get back. So don't ever think like that. because the universe doesn't work like that.
I think there is also a slightly practical point as well to add on to that, is that so I do massage. I can tell pretty quickly when I think somebody needs to go and see the cranial sacral osteopath, who also has a massage practitioner in their practice. They are an entirely different style from me. Now, going back to that thought, will they then go to that masseur? Ultimately, if that's what the client needs, they will value you more for offering that. You don't have to expressly say, oh, and there's a massage practitioner there. But what I've also learned is that I then develop a relationship with that massage therapist, and we talk and we identify how different we are from each other. And therefore, we send people to each other, even though the word massage can be used for both of us. So it's like an expansion rather than something going inward and a negative. And also, a lot of these thoughts, and this goes back to the point about self-awareness, if you're saying things like, I will lose that client, where is your trust in yourself? How centered are you in yourself? If you're not, that will reflect out to your client, and they won't know why, but they will be unnerved. They will not feel confident. And that might be the reason they don't rebook. It's about being centered and knowing in yourself what you're capable of. Oh, juicy questions. Come on, keep them coming.
We haven't got time for more juicy questions, Kathy.
Oh, okay. Oh, fixing. Oh, I just want to address that point about fixing. Even if somebody is not thinking if they need to go somewhere else, or you don't feel they need to go anywhere else, it doesn't matter what discipline you're practicing. We are not there to fix. That is the responsibility of the client. We are there to offer solutions and support on their journey towards better health. If we feel that we are there to fix, we are being slightly arrogant of our own ability, but also denying the client the joy of finding out about themselves for themselves. Because by doing that, by helping them recognize what they need and where they're at, you allow that person to take a step of growth and to recognize that they have done that. And therefore they can celebrate themselves. So you're empowering people. You're not fixing people. And I think you're also therefore more empowered yourself. It's a two-way street.
I think one of the most important CPDs that I've ever done is actually a coaching course. Learning how to coach people, learning how to ask better questions, asking how to, or learning how to frame things to take from I'm telling you what to do to you're going to find the answer for yourself. Yeah. And it took me, when I did that, it was quite a long time ago, and it took me a long time to actually master that technique, but very, very valuable. So coaching. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's such a useful skill. You use it on your children. You
Oh,
use
yes.
it on your husband, your wife, your whoever. You use it all the time. And I think this is another really important point. I am horrified when I hear that certain practitioners haven't done any form of CPD. Now, fortunately, if you're a member of a registered association, they require it. So you have to do the CPD.
But they don't check, Kathy. They don't check.
They don't
Just
check.
tick a
No.
box that says, "Oh yes, I've done it."
I've done it. Right.
That's one of
So
my beefs.
if you want, good beef.
Yeah.
If you want to be the best you can be, then you never stop learning. So at 60, here I am at 65, doing yet another qualification. and learning more about the whole thing about gut and skin wellness. That's another thing I'm learning. So it just never stops. But by doing all of this, you create a wealth within yourself that you pass on. And that wealth within yourself becomes truly holistic, because you may be doing CPD on how can I run the mechanics of my business better? How can I make more money? What is a better marketing strategy for me? Oh, I need to go and learn this skill. Oh, I need to go and improve whatever technique I'm using, whatever. You are taking a very holistic view of yourself. And in your daily work, I mean, I know Louise talked a lot in her training about the importance of reflective practice, but how many of us stop and think, well, that was a bit of a day? What happened with that client when something went off beam, didn't quite, oh, right, what was going on there? What could I learn from my daily interactions? And I'll just raise a thing. There's a thing called the Fab Service Stars, PHAB. And this was started by a lady who recognized there was no way of measuring, formally measuring how well a business was doing on all aspects. It is specifically to the beauty industry. Her name is Nergish. And look at Fab Service Stars. She has an incredibly rigorous process that you and your business have to go through. And it's a really great self-reflective tool about, am I really doing the best in my business? Because of course we get, I open the door to my business every day and I check, what does this look like to the person walking through the door for the first time? So I have a constant thing going on in my brain as to what does this look like from the client's perspective? How does that feel from the client's perspective? Every day I'm doing that because I've been for treatments and it's been terrible. And that person's practitioner's got no consciousness that their whatever is not really of a very good standard. So it's being committed to being truly holistic, looking at yourself on every level, how well you're performing. And one of the Fab Service Star, the process makes you do that. They go and they interview your accountant. They talk directly to your clients. You have no idea what questions they're asking. They talk to your suppliers about how you interact and behave. So there's a lot of things they look at that many awards and associated bodies just don't even think about. So it's a wonderful way to look at yourself and think, am I really doing the best job I can do? Now, it is 13:01. I'm absolutely gagging for another question.
I've just put Fab Service Stars link in the post. I think that's a really valuable comment about evaluating yourself. And one of the most difficult things I think about being in business for yourself is that you are by yourself and you have got nobody that keeps you accountable. We have a professional personal development module as part of our therapy learning hub. That's the very, very first thing that people come in when they join our CPD membership